I'm the fuck out. I didn't even get started on what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Bro, that movie was crazy.
Crazy, Frankie. Yeah.
I was like, what are specials tonight?
That sounds good. I'll have that.
Hey everybody, Specialists in Nothing, back at you again, talking about everything, specializing in nothing. My name is Frank. As always, Joe and Danny, you guys want to say what's up?
What up, what up?
How you doing?
How about that Bermuda Triangle?
I don't really know much about the Bermuda Triangle on my own. I'm not going to lie to you. But the Frankopedia says the Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle, is a loosely defined region in the western part of North Atlantic Ocean where a number of aircraft and ships are said to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances.
Disappeared under mysterious circumstances? Carry on.
Most reputable sources dismiss the idea that there is any mystery. So how do you just dismiss something if like things just go missing in that area all the time? It's kind of like a black hole on Earth.
Yeah. They're like, oh, the triangle again? Just forget about it. It'll blow over. It's kind of like what happens if you really think about it.
Well, did you know that so the show Manifest, did you know something like that supposedly really happened?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. So there was a flight that like really took off and it was supposed to land and didn't, and landed like 3 years later where it was supposed to, or something like that.
Keep going. Get back here.
He's got his headphones on still. He could hear us. But yeah.
So the show Manifest is about a plane that gets lost, right? And then it comes back 5 years later, and
wait a second. You're telling me that show something happened like that in real life?
Yeah.
A plane disappeared and showed up 5 years later, and they thought they were in the same fucking day.
So
yes.
It was 37 years. It was 37 years. Sorry, I thought it said 3 years, but it was 37 years. It was like supposedly like some big myth thing or whatever.
What?
I'll tell you right now. Hold on, I'm clicking the thing.
Nobody's rushing you.
It says the story of an American plane reappearing after 37 years. So it was from Kenya and India, and it claims that a plane went missing in 1955 and then appeared again 37 years later. The story was first published in an American tabloid known for its, I don't know how to say that word, stories. Furthermore,
sound it out, Frank.
55, I don't know. Fucking I don't know. It's a really long word. Furthermore, in the video accompanying the post, the narrator notes the story is. Oh, it says the narrator notes that the story is likely a myth. But I did hear about this and read about this. It was some.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't hear about that.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, dude, like you get on a plane, you land. Like, let's say we're going to Florida. We like get on the plane, we land, and it's like fucking 30 years later. What do you do?
Wow,
that's crazy. Oh, here. Oh, okay. So it says the flight Pan Am Flight 914 took off from New York in 1955, slipped from the radar, and then vanished until its unexplained return 37 years later when it landed in Miami, Florida.
Where are those people now? Where's the interviews? Where's the story? Where is everything?
I have no idea.
That's it? Just that?
Yeah, I guess.
Why do these things never have follow-ups or follow-througs or anything?
I mean,
honestly,
gets
assassinated.
And honestly, maybe because this one really is
I'm
fake.
tired of saying to you guys, like, it's impossible. But like, where is the backup, man?
Bro, I'm tired of hearing it. What
it's
do you
in
mean?
the Bermuda Triangle.
So the Bermuda Triangle consists of Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Miami.
Yes.
Those three islands, they make up the triangle, right? And there's been stories left and right. This is like one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all, which we should do a whole separate thing about.
Is that why we don't see sea monsters anymore? Because
aren't we doing it now? Why would we do something separate if we're doing it?
Because there's a whole bunch of other unsolved mysteries. This is the only unsolved mystery.
What if it's like so? What, like, you know how there's like secret caves or like things like that? What if like the Bermuda Triangle is like some like just secret place to get into that nobody knows how to get into because it's from the water or whatever? And yeah, like certain crazy sea monsters and things like that got stuck down there. And that's why the reason nobody knows what it is, because anytime anything goes down there, you're feeding those motherfuckers.
And they just don't find their way out.
They're locked in.
Void? Are you saying it's like a void?
I mean, apparently it's got to be like a black hole, right? From it sounds like it's a black hole on Earth, and if it's under the water, we just don't see it as a black hole. That's why.
So it's crazy. Mad things disappear there. Ships, fucking people, planes.
Yeah, that's something
it's
that's
not just like
that,
one or two or three things. It's
that's
like
not
lot.
fiction. Yeah, but see, here's the thing: is a lot of things have gone missing, but it's actually a proven fact that like there's millions of things that like go sail and fly through there all year round. That the ratio is actually that a lot of stuff normally doesn't happen there. So 9 times out of 10, something doesn't happen, but in 100 years, how many incidents have happened and things that went missing? Yes, it is a lot.
They
but
said like a lot of their radars start going fritzy, but like it could just be a specific spot on the Earth, man. Don't forget, we're like rotating around other planets. There's gravitational pull. Who's to say there's not one spot from the rotation that like, I don't know, maybe things just go a little haywire there.
Well, where the layer of like tectonic plates are too, like something like that could be disrupted in like that area under the water of the Earth. That could be why we're shit.
I feel like that's shit that's easily studied, like studyable.
Nah, I mean we haven't even studied our whole ocean yet.
True.
We don't know much. We barely have like 30% of our ocean discovered, if that. I would say. You want my honest opinion? I think that this Bermuda Triangle thing is one of several things. It could be a general magnetic field between, like Frank said, the tectonic plates underneath the ocean, where it's just giving off a magnetic field, which is why all the radars go haywire and the compasses spin around. There's no radio contact.
But then where would the stuff go when that happens?
Here's the other thing. It could be some type of a void, which is unearthly, of course, but like, let's just say that you go into some type of a void and you just end up on the other end of something. You know, well, it could be.
It couldn't be on the other end of something, because if you're going deeper into the Earth, like let's say it's like a void or a hole, wouldn't you just be going into lava then? Like what if they just if they're getting sucked into the Earth and melting into lava?
Call it a portal. Call it a portal if that's
oh, so you think it's okay. I get what you're saying.
You know, it could be something of that sort. It could be like
you're going with the wormhole thing.
I would say a wormhole, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Similar to a black hole, you know. This one is nobody knows the exact shape of it. It's not, nobody's seen a triangle before, you know. It's just those 3 islands that make a triangle. That's why it's called the Bermuda Triangle. It could be a void somewhere down below. Who knows?
See, when I said black hole on Earth, I was thinking more like a vacuum. Like that's what I meant.
Yeah,
like
similar to
into the Earth. But see, when I mean like in the literal sense, okay, so like if it's sucking it into the Earth, what's under there? There's lava, so then that means like everything is just dying.
Well, they only tell you that there's lava. There could be like a whole journey to the center.
Danny thinks the Earth is hollow now, and now there's aliens inside the hollow Earth. It's like some space station. So we're living on a Death Star that just looks like the Earth outside.
You don't even know what the Earth looks like because NASA's telling you one thing and whatever is another. But you're gonna lose 2,000 ships and over 200 aircrafts just gone.
But what
they check
in what 500 in how many years? You know what I mean,
bro? It can't be 500 years because we've only discovered this recently. I would say the fucking Declaration of Independence is only 100 years old, and they were sailing ships how long ago?
Okay, but let's call it 50, not even 50 years. It's more than 50 years because our parents heard about the Bermuda Triangle. So like, let's call it 100 years. Where let's say ships have been
in the 19th century or 20th century. I'm sorry.
So let's say 100 years, right? In a day, how many ships that are importing goods and stuff like that do you think travel across that ocean? Probably close to at least 50 big carrier ships, freight ships, whatever.
But at the same time, I would be avoiding that on all areas.
But I'm saying plus planes. But they do. That's a main highway through the water and through the air, like to go through to countries to back and forth to each other.
Literally reading
from
that
port
now.
to port.
The Bermuda Triangle is one of the most heavily traveled shipping lanes in the world today.
That's what I'm saying. So now think about that, D. If you're talking about per day, let's even call it 10 boats a day that are shipping containers, whatever, and 10 planes or 5 planes. That's 15 a day to 20 a day. 365 days a year for 100 years. So for 200 to go missing out of all of those, it's actually not that astronomical of a number. They really just make it seem that because it's more of a news story. Oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Oh, it's something like this. Well, what if? Oh, what if that? And it starts the debates. It starts the conversations. It starts all that stuff. It doesn't even necessarily have to be anything, dude. It could be that most of those ships or planes actually just ended up having crashes or accidents and couldn't be found in the water.
The Bermuda Triangle is subject to frequent, probably more frequent than anywhere else in the world, tropical storms and hurricanes. On top of it, the Agonic Line sometimes passes through the Bermuda Triangle, including a period in the early 20th century. The Agonic Line is a place on Earth's surface where true north and magnetic north align, and there is no need to account for magnetic declination on a compass.
So it sounds like the radars go out, yes, from like the tectonic plates from that
area. In 2013, the World Wildlife
at the same time.
Yeah. The World Wildlife Fund conducted an exhaustive study of maritime shipping and lanes and determined the Bermuda Triangle is not one of the world's most. Wait.
Sounded out. One of the. Come on, you guys are good. You got it.
Is not one of the world's
I want him to read
most
something.
Dangerous bodies of shipping because I forgot to read the 10.
No, but yeah, so
you can't read good.
But so exactly, that's to my point. Exactly, like that many ships are going through at a time on a daily basis that we don't hear about. We only hear about the ones that go missing or whatever, and you only know about that. But if you knew about all that other stuff,
you know what it is. Sense. Most of the time, it also says they never recover anything, like not even a piece of the plane,
because we've only discovered 30% of our ocean. So if they're in a part of our ocean so deep, we're not going to find that ship once it sinks.
It has nothing to do with being so deep. Shit does float to the ocean. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that ship that's float. Sinking. Right,
yeah, but the black box,
anything. There's nothing
on a plane, like not
a piece
planes,
of debris,
no
not
ships,
a seatbelt, not a
I'm sure there is stuff that gets washed up to certain shores and stuff like that. Oh, but then I get what you're saying. That would relate back to say that it was from that flight or ship or whatever.
They can't find anything.
Honestly, what if? Well, okay, so, but if you're someone on a beach in like, let's say, so the Bermuda Triangle is what between Puerto Rico, whatever. So you're on a beach in Florida. And you like find some random something that gets washed up, and you're like, "Oh, how are you gonna know that flight went missing or that cargo?"
Most you're gonna say, time,
but that would say you're gonna say, "Oh, I found this." Like I probably wouldn't. Bro, if it was something I wanted, I'd probably keep it. If it wasn't, I'd probably throw it away.
Right, but if it's so big, a piece of a fucking ship or a plane, how are you going to keep it, Frank? You're not going to call, or you're not going to tell.
A plane isn't going to wash up. I'm talking about like someone's personal items, or like you said, a debris or something that would be like a table that was on there, or like, you know, something that was floatable.
But
like
a passenger plane, a fucking huge plane carrying fucking 130 something people, more than just a wallet's going to wash up for nobody to say nothing. There's going to be so much stuff that people are finding. Someone's going to say something. If they're
in a hurricane, chances are they are inside the cabin and whatever, and the doors are locked, so they're not getting wet. Fine. So if the ship does end up flipping or sinking or whatever, they are locked in the ship. So how is it going to come up?
Where you're going with this, but thousands and thousands of times of this happening, not once.
I mean, for the planes, I agree with you.
Frank.
Well, for the planes, I agree with you, but for the ships,
it's happened so many times.
That have doors that seal, and the wheel spins and it seals the door. So yeah, if they were in there because of a hurricane, and then that ship hits like some big wave, because there's some videos I've seen where some of those container ships hit massive fucking 50-foot waves that like crash over the whole fucking ship and come up to the cabin's windshield and shit. Like, it's crazy some of the shit they go through. So now if you're going through something like that and you're in a hurricane and your ship accidentally dips too much down a thing and flips over and whatever, you're sealed in that cabin. That door is fucking sealed. So yeah, for that, I think statistically every time the door is sealed, how is it going to come up? Nothing's going to come up.
It's not even that. There's got to be other stuff on the ship.
Not outside, that not secure anything, on a ship like that, of a container ship, that's not secure. That's what I'm saying. Or that wouldn't be
containers.
A container. Yeah, a metal container that's fucking heavy that has holes in it on the side that'll fill up with water. That those things have air holes on the side. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that anything like that would wash up. But the planes is a different story. The planes would, because when they impact and hit the water, it would, you know, go into pieces and stuff in the cabin would wash up, stuff like that. So yes, the planes, I think, yes, but the ships, I think even statistically would no.
I just feel like maybe, but then why wouldn't anybody go back and look for it? let's say that let's say a plane or a ship has lost radio contact for
Well, I mean,
over
I'm sure they
15
have, they
minutes,
just don't
20
find
minutes, an
anything.
hour. They're not going to send somebody or another plane or something to go look for it. Be like, hey, what's going on with this? Or they're disappearing and then coming back. Like, this is an
No.
example, actually. So real quick, I'm going to read you. There's this guy, Bruce Gernon, right? In the 70s, he was going from Puerto Rico to Florida, which usually takes an hour and a half. Okay. He said that he wrote a book. He wound up writing a book about it. And in the book, he explains that he was driving from Puerto Rico to Florida, and there was about a 12,000 foot large cloud. It was a cloud. 12,000 foot large cloud, and it extended. So and it kept growing. So he's flying this plane. So I guess it's like one of those 1 or 2 person planes or whatever. It's like his own personal thing. He was going from Puerto Rico to Florida. He describes it, the cloud. It was dark, flashes of white light, similar to lightning, so bright that it lit up the entire space around him. It was cylindrical, which is kind of like a cylinder, and you saw like spinning light towards him, kind of like a tunnel. Goes to this tunnel, ends the tunnel. It's closing in on the plane. The compasses are spinning all around, and all the electronics malfunction. So he left the tunnel, contacted ground control, determined to find his location. Ground control was not on the radar. It's kind of as if the plane was invisible. Dispatcher mentioned the aircraft needed to slow down because he was entering Miami airspace. 250 miles from Puerto Rico to Florida. It takes 90 minutes. It took him 47 minutes, and the plane was only able to go at 180 miles per hour due to the size and capacity of it. So didn't go through as much fuel as it normally does, and it skipped over half the distance in the time that it took. So apparently this motherfucker is driving from Puerto Rico, goes into this electromagnetic cloud, comes out in half the time that it's supposed to take with half the fuel used.
I mean, aren't there such thing as slipstreams?
What?
Isn't there such thing as slipstreams?
I don't know what a slipstream is. Does that mean you could travel in time?
No, a slipstream is like in racing, like when you like hit a stream to go faster. Like there's slipstreams in the air that planes hit. That's why like sometimes you take a flight from like California to New York and it'll be like 5 hours, but you'll make it in like 4 hours and 45 minutes because the plane hits some slipstreams on the way. It is possible, no? Like, I mean, I get it for him to make up 45 minutes is a lot, but he could have just been like really moving it, hit a couple slipstreams or whatever. I don't know, like
where did they come from?
And then far-fetched his story to like make it more than what it was.
It all comes down to weather. Like there's no phenomenon of like sea monsters or like a black hole type. It's all just weather related shit, man. And they literally
but just in this one spot of the whole world.
Do you even know how this started? It started with
there's certain spots of the world, Danny, that are hotter. There's certain spots that are colder. Like look at places like Alaska.
That's
look at
different.
Places
That's different.
It's not different because
there's only slipstreams in this one place between Puerto Rico
because
and Florida.
There's places like in the middle of the country that don't get hurricanes, but then there's places like us or Florida that do. So there's spots of the country that do get certain things that don't. So if that place is like the worst spot in the world where it gets hurricanes and stuff like that, then
doesn't mean that's the reason, but it is possible because things like that already do happen. Like
to Joe's statistics, it makes the probability go up.
Right.
If somebody asked me what I think it is, I'd say electromagnetic field. Or
Marvel some type of energy Men in Black.
Bro, he watched that movie when he was 12,
man. Every time he says anything like that, now I'm just gonna picture the alien going with the Marvel. No, but we know. I know that's what you would think. But honestly, in this case, I do. I agree with Joe. I think it's more just the weather. I do think like it has something to do with the magnetic fields of like that area of whatever that fucks up the radars and stuff. But I don't think it's like some phenomenon.
The whole thing with the Bermuda Triangle started when an author who published articles in a fucking paranormal
newspaper or magazine or something
paper back in like 1952. Mm-hmm. It became
like
a hot topic because it was the 50s and writing was big and like paranormal myths and make believe was like a upcoming thing. Mm-hmm. And then from that, another guy in 1960s for a bigger article in the America wrote an article on the deadly Bermuda Triangle.
Think about it.
Picked up as a myth and a paranormal activity. It was never anything that was like an actual
proven thing.
Right.
Well,
you know what I
think
mean?
about it like this.
But people started studying it, and a lot of weird shit does happen there, but it has a lot to do with the weather and the area because of the geolocation.
Well, you're a writer. You're someone that wants to be famous. You're one of many people could fit this like type. But yeah, dude, let's say you're someone that finds out about like, oh, certain ships that, oh, this ship was supposed to come in with my certain goods or whatever, and it never came in. What do you mean it went missing? What do you mean this? And then you start looking into it and you find out that things in this area go missing. But then compared to the ratio, it's not that bad. But oh, I can make a story about this. I could turn this into something. And then
it's more
there's
interesting.
a lot of people that twist media all the time. So this could have been someone that just made up a story like this a long time ago, and so many people believed it for so long. It could just be one of the greatest fictional stories that was ever told.
No, but it's more interesting to talk about the fact that more shit along the lines of things going missing and people dying and communications going crazy. It's better. It's like cool to talk about how like that shit happens all the time there and nowhere else. Like Danny said, how is it possible that only happens there and nowhere else?
Well, I think only because, to both of your point, is that why has nothing ever been recovered? So like if those things go missing, why in that area?
That's why I feel like it has something to do with like the Earth's energy and the Earth's magnetic pole of some sort.
Because yeah, if
I just think
a
it's
ship with goods goes down somewhere else, I'm sure that we've found them more so than in this area. So yeah, there has to be some connection with that.
I think it's something cooler along the lines of like scientifically unexplained yet. I don't think it's more phenomenal, like or paranormal.
Well, I think it's phenomenal, but not paranormal. But to what you're saying, like exactly, like it could be a portal, like Danny's saying, but like
science behind it that we haven't figured out yet of like why the weather acts the way it does over there and why things aren't found over there in that area. Because they also did a test. It's not as deep as any other part of the ocean surrounding it. So it's not like things are going somewhere really deep and there's a deeper part of the ocean there that we don't know about. That's not the fact. So it really
must a deep cave.
I mean, again, you can only go so far down, but like from all their sonar tests and drop tests and whatever the fuck these things are, it's like it's not as any deeper as other parts. And like they could sonar and see that there's nothing of the size of a plane or a ship below that, which is also kind of weird. Well, that makes it weirder along the lines of what Danny's saying.
But they've hit ground though? Like they've hit ground?
Says here.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah. Well, because what I was going to say is I think it's more of like a phenomenon into the sense of like, what if it's like where the lava meets the water and by some form of science is where it's not bursting through because the water is so heavy with pressure and so cold because it's, so many gallons in the ocean. But this is where like the lava and the water meet where there is like some kind of opening. And exactly some of those ships that do sink or whatever do go right in and just get like melted away or whatever it is. Like that could be some crazy scientific theory behind it because again, we have only discovered 30% of our ocean. So I don't think that that's something that's unfathomable either. Like I definitely do think there has to be some reason why they are disappearing. But yeah, I agree with Joe. It has to be some more scientific reason. I don't think it's
it literally says right here,
reason.
The Sargasso Sea is an area in North Atlantic bounded by ocean currents in all sides around it. I don't know. This is the exceptionally calm sea. I don't know, man.
I think that what if, this is going to sound crazy. What if it's like a whirlpool, kind of like what Frank said and similar to what the guy said with the story, where it's like a whirlpool. Like when you pull the plug on a drain and you get the spin or the flush toilet? It's like that for the ships. And it goes so deep down into like the core of the earth where instead of it being lava, it is like another place and all these mysterious shit is just there. Like shit just ends up there,
Like the Goonies?
Maybe, like let's just, it's similar to a wormhole or like a black hole, except it goes in, it's like a void. It goes into an energy void and it gets like transferred somewhere else.
That would be some pretty crazy shit, dude. Like imagine.
What?
Like obviously if you found your way there, nobody would be alive. They've been down there for so fucking long.
What are you talking
the
about?
last time
Oh.
someone else was sucked down there, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Would you meet one
But
person that was like, yes,
after-
I'm part of this original survivors, and like they left their legacy on to my
We've been here
grandfather
since
who
the
left it on-
1950s, and our life
Right?
cycle just keeps repeating.
Well, not even that the life cycle keeps repeating, but what if it's like someone that like 10 years ago they got sucked in there, learned from someone that got sucked in there 20 years ago, that learned from someone that got sucked in there 30 years ago, and they just keep passing on like, well, this is
They
what
got like
I've
their
learned, so
own
this is what-
Bible and shit.
And as long as they pass it on to someone else before they die, like at least it keeps people surviving down there for as long as they can.
Okay. I don't think that makes any sense at all, but all
You
right.
don't think that makes
doesn't
sense?
make any
Oh
sense.
my god, I can't. There's no winning with you.
Wrap us up, guy. Wrap it up.
Thank you.
Damn. I don't know. I guess this is one of the biggest mysteries that everyone knows about. Nobody talks about it, and we haven't heard anything recently about it either. It's just fucking mind blowing. I guess I don't know. Well, what else? Because like the Bermuda Triangle, what the fuck was I just saying?
Oh, what the fuck were you just saying?
You were talking about how
You said
shit's
what if?
weird.
You said what if the drain and like that whole thing.
All right, never mind. I guess.
People,
Oh, what did you?
people
what did
live
you
there
find?
now, and then I said, what if they learned from people that got sucked down there before? And then you said that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because you're gonna sit there and be like, you're not gonna believe in a hollow earth, but you're gonna say that there's people down there who are surviving how, and then what are they doing? They're
I was finally running with your theory of hollow earth that they could
Right.
be down there.
I don't
and then I
say-
was
I
like,
never said
all right,
anything
well, what if
about
they
hollow
I'll
earth.
did?
never play along with your shit again.
Bro, I never said nothing about hollow earth ever. I don't know what the fuck you're talking
What
about.
do you mean? What do you think it is if they get sucked in there and they're able to live in there? It has to be hollow. There has to
I'm
be
telling
something
you,
down there like
no.
oxygen.
I'm telling you, it's like a time paradox, bro. Do you not understand what I'm trying to say? I'm not understanding the words that are coming out of my mouth.
So they're going in the Bermuda Triangle and entering in another marble, is what you're saying?
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense than what you were saying.
Well, even in that case, if they're on a new marble, there's other people that got sucked up to that marble like years before that they could still learn from.
Maybe.
So
I promised myself from now on when
I
Danny
wouldn't cry.
tells me something wild and completely ridiculous, I want to ask you to explain better. Okay, I get you believe it's another paradox, but explain further to me, please. Help me understand you. How does that work? Where do you get that theory from? Is it just your belief? Is it something that you made up and you feel like that could be? What gave you these reasons to believe that?
Work?
Right. What do you mean?
It's not
if it's your belief, how do you think it works then?
Right.
How does what work specifically? What are you talking about?
You believe in that there's another paradox. The Bermuda Triangle could take you to another dimension.
So the ship's just going down the drain, and then all of a sudden,
no, it's not a drain.
And somewhere else.
No, this is similar to like an invisible.
Did you take the scene from The Little Mermaid and then
add with Ursula,
and then add?
Yeah.
Bro, but like, where do you get that theory from?
I'm saying, well, what I told you before, I think it's a magnetic field or like some type of a void. So things will go into it. And then when that happens, it's like the energy around it gets mixed in with it. Nobody really fucking knows. So I'm just going to say, you ever see like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory when they move the boy or the piece of candy from one side of the room to the other, where it like disintegrates into invisible particles and then it winds up somewhere else? Like that. Your atoms. Yeah, dude, you could split an atom. So if you could split an atom, who's to say that energy, whether it's dark energy or whatever the fuck it is, can't do that to certain things,
so
and they could warp time and space, and you could end up somewhere else.
So
why
the
do you
ship
think
is
there's
like traveling through the
pyramids
water, and then like where the magnetic field, it's almost like a fence in a sense. So as it's traveling, it's just like whoop, and as it goes through that fence,
yes, you could say it like that if that's how he'll understand it.
Fine. Well, because I was thinking when you were saying it as a portal, whatever, I'm thinking it goes down. Like I'm not thinking it was just ship's still traveling, and all of a sudden, boom, breaks up the particles and goes.
Besides the scene from Willy Wonka, what other source do you have that says that that's even remotely possible, or even brought up as an idea or a fact or a myth or anything?
Or is it just what you like to believe in your
right?
From your own imagination.
Not that I'm gonna laugh at you. I just literally want to know.
Like
we're talking about the Bermuda
that's just
Triangle,
what I choose to believe from my own imagination. That's okay.
Strongly disagreeing with me that it's not really anything, and people just
nobody knows what it is. So this is stuff that I've done research on, or what like the stories or testimonials that I've read about people who have witnessed things like this, whether it's airplanes or small aircrafts or other ships that have turned up later on or gotten there too early, or saw the magnetic field and stuff, and there was like an electric magnetic pole or giant clouds with lightning in them, you know.
Well, you don't think any of those people like could have just seen like a regular thunderstorm and then embellished the story for a news story?
For these experienced pilots that have been through storms, you're not going to exaggerate one storm. Like you're just going to come back and make it up.
Humans exaggerate and lie all the time.
I'm
if you want to make a story, you want to be a news story.
How often is this happening? That it can't be the same type of thing. You know, there's literally been things that we cannot find. It's just gone. What, off the face of the planet?
Where do you get the portal thing? Why can't it be like you just end up in a different part of the world or something?
That's what a portal is, Joe.
No, what if?
But you're saying you're gonna dissipate into another universe or some shit.
That doesn't have to be another universe, but let's just say it was another part of the world.
Right.
Well,
where has it been? It hasn't come up yet.
Show up.
Yeah.
So basically, you just have a strong belief that the Bermuda Triangle is not just a fucking weather mystery.
No, and even if that's the case, I'm pretty sure that the government controls the weather anyway. So
I love him, man.
He really believes that we're all on the Truman Show. I really do think that like, right? Is that what you really believe? We're all like it's some part of the form of the Truman Show?
Not all of us.
But he is.
No, the Illuminati's not. The controllers are not, is what he means. The everyday average Joe, the lower and middle class, as they
let me say something. I read something that kind of got me. I'm not gonna lie. And it was like simple. It was like, what if like our dream is our actual real world, and like this is what we're dreaming?
It's crazy to think about.
And I don't know why that made me actually think so hard about it. And I was like, fucking Danny, all Danny's name just kept popping in my head. I'm like, man,
rubbing off little by
this
little.
Is like the first thing that I was like, man, it's so weird to think about. Like, what if, you know what I mean?
Well, did you hear about, so what's her name? Cool. The one that was on Dr. Phil?
It's kind of cool, right?
It is.
Because this relates too. So what's her name? The one that was on Dr. Phil, the Catch Me Outside. How about that? Real Vicky or whatever her name is.
What's her name?
Real Vicky or whatever.
No,
Vicky.
Isn't it? I think it's Danielle something. No.
Oh no, that's the other one. That's Bad Baby. Okay, no, but I'm talking about the one that's Real Vicky. She also can't speak English. She's another one.
No, but Bad Baby was to Catch Me Outside.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of the
Danielle
other one.
Bergoli or
the one that she had a beef with. The one that Danielle Bergoli had a beef with. Her name's like Real Woe Vicky or something like that. She just recently had a interview, and she was on a podcast, and she was talking about the Illuminati and how they're real, and how like they will get you to go to a party and you'll see things or like have to do things or whatever, and then like, or they'll make to try and get you to do things to get you in so they can have some kind of blackmail on you or whatever it is, and then that's how they get you in, and then that's it. From there, like you just go deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's just crazy because like I know we've said like, oh, what, how come people don't come out and this that. Nobody would believe her because she's so stupid and like just whatever. But she actually came out and said that she's seen some wild stuff at some crazy rich parties, and like that they really like will dangle your most biggest desires in front of you to try and find out what they are, to dangle in front of you to get you to do what they want and stuff like that. And it's just crazy because we've talked about that before, and like the conspiracy theory side of it, and like who are they and just whatever this that. But like, why would she come out and say that? Why does that? And I know I'm getting off topic and whatever a little bit, but why does that come out?
I don't know.
Like
kind of weird.
Because that is like a real valid thing, what she's saying. It doesn't sound crazy off. You know what I mean? That sounds like that could be possible. So I don't know, but I just want to bring that up too because of what he said.
Just food for thought.
Oh, about the.
Yeah, it just made me think about that, and like because we've talked about other stuff before, and just when I heard that, I was like, "Oh shit! I need to show this to Joe because Illuminati's real."
Stupid.
Oh.
Here's a question for you. Would you go? Let's say your family was on a cruise and they went into the Bermuda Triangle, and you were like some Liam Neeson motherfucker where you had connections and you could like find a pilot to go find them. Would you go into the Bermuda Triangle to try to find them?
You were gonna say like we were gonna call the Bermuda Triangle.
Danny just if something happened and then you had the skill set to fix it, would you go fix it? That's basically what you just asked. Of course I would go. Only an asshole would not go.
Danny gets a phone call that his sister disappeared on a plane over the Bermuda Triangle. He's gonna suit up.
I got a better one for you. I got a better one for you. What if you were not equipped? What if you were not a person that had any skill set or connections or stuff like that, but you found out that your sister was like kidnapped or someone like close to you like that was kidnapped or something like that? Would you go try and find them? Would you try and do everything and anything you could to go see what happened, how you could investigate better than the police and whatever? Because that's the thing that like movies are based on, that like somebody you love is on one of those ships that goes through the Bermuda Triangle and ends up missing. What are you going to do? You're going to go try and figure it out and find them and stuff? Because there's movies of people like that end up finding certain, I mean, not all the time. A lot of times they don't, but sometimes they do.
Me, I'm calling my dad. He's going to call his friends and we're going to fucking find some people and break some legs.
We're going to Bermuda.
We're going to Bermuda.
For free.
Put it on his card.
Would you? All right, so let's just say you were on a cruise trip and you knew that the path was through the Bermuda Triangle. Would you go? Like
you knew something was wrong?
Like let's say you're boarding let's say you win tickets
and
to
like
a cruise
you get some
trip.
Premonition that it's going to happen before it goes. Would you still go on?
Forget about the premonition.
How would you know? That's what I'm saying. What do you mean? How would you know that
you and Karen want to take a trip to Puerto Rico
yet.
But the only way to get there is there's a cruise.
You got to go through.
You leave from Miami, and its course is through the Bermuda Triangle, and you take your cruise to Puerto Rico. Yeah. If you knew that trip that you wanted to go had to
was going through the Bermuda Triangle, would you
still take the trip?
Yeah. Yeah, but because I don't believe in it the way that he does.
Sometimes you gotta
you don't have to believe in it, bro. Planes and ships go missing.
Storybook for Frank.
Well, because I thought he was still going like what if theory. That's why I didn't know he was going more literal.
I mean, it's so you would go through the Bermuda Triangle then?
Yeah, I would travel to the Bermuda Triangle.
Joe, would you go?
Fuck yeah.
Staying far away from that shit, son.
Of course you are, bro.
What?
Eventually, Danny's not going to be able to go anywhere. He's going to turn left, and he's going to be like, "Oh my god, I can't go there." The Illuminati. He's going to turn right. He can't go there because the.
Danny, you've been on cruises.
Danny's going to turn this way, and he's going to be like, "Oh shit, the Bermuda Triangle. I can't go this way."
Like, wait, actually,
Danny's going to go this way and be like, "Oh shit, there's 5G towers there. I can't go this way." And he's going to be stuck in this one little fucking box.
Well, wait, two things now because off of what he just said, I have to tell him about the Alexa thing the other day, but. So wait, you've been on cruises though. You never went to like where have you gone on cruises? Like Puerto Rico or no?
Not through the Bermuda Triangle, Frank.
I'm asking, like, how do you know? You researched that shit before and made sure
because I know it didn't go anywhere near Miami or Puerto Rico. I went in a completely different direction.
No, not you. I'm asking him because he's the one that wouldn't go through.
I went to the Bahamas. I went to Miami on a cruise.
So that's not through any part of the Bermuda Triangle on those ships that you
I don't know, bro. I'm here, and I'm not the fucking navigator of the ship, so I can't tell you that.
You said I would stay far away from there. How do you know if
Danny
you went there or not? Then you went on a cruise ship that went to the Bahamas. You don't know if that went through the Bermuda Triangle. So how could you say, "No, I'm never going through that"? I'm not.
Because I'm saying Frank's if you won tickets and you knew.
You get what I'm saying, right, Joe?
Yeah, but
right. I get that. Although you should know where you're going when you're on a cruise. You should,
But you don't know.
Usually, if I go on a cruise, I'm like, "Ooh, I want to see where the cruise is."
Yeah, thank you. Like
they tell you, they show you.
I get that.
I've never been on one, but
you're hurting yourself right now. You should have said, like,
bro. First of all, I was like, 2009 was the last cruise that I went on. All right.
Danny's like, I don't know,
about
man.
the Bermuda Triangle back then.
I'm sure, but I wasn't.
I didn't go, but my multiverse, Danny went.
Yo, I have a all right.
I had a dream that I was on a cruise to the Bermuda Triangle, and that's how I.
Remind me later because I have to tell you something about what he just said. My multiverse version.
Going back to what you just said before that, though, did you hear about the thing that happened with the Alexa?
No.
So Joey Diaz was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I was listening to it on my drive to Pennsylvania. he was talking about how his friends were having a house in like Hollywood or whatever. It was a lot of rich
Oh
people.
yeah, I heard about that.
And somebody was like, "Hey Alexa," and went to go change the song as other people, were talking around the Alexa, and they were talking about like illegal things, and the Alexa picked it up and they got arrested, and like it notified the police and they got arrested and were put to trial and like sent. And I was just like, yo, like to the FBI thing and like the conspiracy of like they're listening and like, oh, like how people say like, oh, you talk about something and your phone will put an ad up for it like later, like that shit is real. Like devices really fucking listen to you, man. Like I will never put an Alexa in my house. That's all I'm saying. It's crazy. I forgot what he said that made me think of that.
Your computer's listening to you right now, Frank.
Well,
absolutely.
Don't listen. Shh. I guess. I mean, yeah, good point. But I'm like, I would never put an Alexa in my house. I would never put like half of that type of stuff.
Ask the FBI if they want a shout out, bro.
The fucking voice activation stuff. I'm not doing it.
Speaking of shout outs, real quick, while we're on it.
Talk tonight.
Yeah.
Shout out
read, so it's okay.
to my cousin Jessica, who is an avid listener. She listens all the time. Thank you so much, cousin
Salvo.
Vanessa. No, that's my
Salvo?
friend Jessica Salvo. It's my cousin Jessica.
Oh, okay. No, because I always see Jess Salvo on our Instagram stuff too, so that's why.
She gives me love. Thanks for interrupting my fucking shout out, though. So next time
I thought it was the right person. I'm sorry.
Well, now say thank you, Jessica, for listening.
Thank you, both Jessicas for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks to all Jessicas that we appreciate you, Jessicas.
What would be wild though is like, imagine this is just roll with this. Okay, this is gonna go with what Frank was thinking earlier.
We tried to roll with your shit, bro.
What if
you didn't like my roll with you?
You turned us down.
You shit on my. I don't think that could be a thing.
We like the people living and passing down stories year after year. All right.
That's how Sasquatch just became non-existent anymore. Is that what you're telling me?
What if we're the people that got sucked into the Bermuda Triangle, and we're the ones that have been passing down our stories? Boom!
All of a sudden, I popped out of a fucking lady's vagina.
Yeah, the universe is actually on the other side of the Bermuda Triangle, and we already got sucked into there.
Yeah, could be.
Boom.
No one says that it's not,
bro.
I don't know where the fuck you guys went with that, but all right, that's cool. I was gonna suggest like sea monsters and stuff, but
we went up to you. Where? But why? But why though? Just where do you get sea monsters from? Because nobody else has proved that it hasn't been sea monsters.
No, I'm just saying, like, dude, the ocean is huge. And
what if you get sucked into the Bermuda Triangle and it's all bright lights in your face and everywhere you look?
I don't know. Then are you dead? I don't know. Like you're just in a white room.
I was just gonna say it sounds like heaven.
Heaven sounds bright. No, but like, dude,
like
there was
you just drowned in that part of the ocean.
There's been ships that were exploring earlier in like the 1300s, the 1400s, when they were looking for new land, and ships disappeared. They didn't know about the Bermuda Triangle then. Maybe it's not a fucking triangle. Maybe
why sea monsters?
Because I'm just saying, dude, it's in the middle of the fucking ocean. Who knows what's really buried under there? Things could be asleep, hibernating.
The ocean's that deep. Like I do believe in sea monsters. Like
if there were, okay, but if it were to be sea monsters, what's your explanation for the sea monsters only doing this in that one spot?
I got you.
You know what I mean?
The magnetic
Think
field.
of it
if
like
there were sea monsters, they're not just gonna.
It could be that. It could be what Frank just said.
Like we have gravity on Earth. Like it could be that magnetic field in that area of the Earth is keeping them to that area of the water. It's pulling them gravitationally.
Or maybe it's like this.
A lot of wildlife flows through that area.
And when you're in a hot tub and you fucking sit by the jets because it feels good. Maybe there's some type of gas underneath with the tectonic plates that are moving that are making it like this is a warm environment for them.
It doesn't even have to be like that. But to that point, like sharks go from certain areas in the same like
but Danny's saying it's always the same climate down there because of the
I'm saying, but
I don't know that. I don't know that.
Like certain sharks from certain areas, like let's say they're from point A, they go to point B during the winter and point back to point A, but they travel from the same spot to the same spot always. Same thing, birds, it's not. So a lot of animals migrate. A lot of animals migrate and go back and forth to the same spot. So yeah, who's to say that they don't have to migrate because they found an area that is so perfectly comfortable and suitable for them, so they don't have to leave there. And there's people getting sucked into this hole all the time for them to eat, so they don't have to go hungry.
Yeah. Think about it like this too. The oldest shark is, I think, 300 years old. 300 years, dude.
Yeah.
A lot could fucking happen in 300 years. Now imagine these animals.
Well, that's just the oldest and longest recorded, or that
Right.
we know of.
That could be so much deeper, so much older than that stuff, than that shark. I mean, because think of it, humans really were only civilized. We'll call it for 2,000 years, give or take. You know.
But
There
let's
could
say
be other monsters and shit that are
300-year-old shark,
What do you think
smarter
Godzilla is
than a
right now?
10-year-old shark, a lot smarter. 500-year-old sea creature,
I'm just
probably a lot smarter too. Like,
I want to know the
I don't
actual
know.
science behind telling how old a shark is. Like I know
Oh,
it's
that's
You just
a
be
there,
like, hey,
but
Mr.
like that's
Shark,
crazy. How do you know it's
How old are you?
300 years old? You know what I mean?
You
I
gotta
wonder
talk
what
to
the
a marine
actual.
biologist.
I know. I wonder what the actual science is.
We should try and get a marine biologist on an episode. That'd be cool. I would do something like that too. I would interview someone with just like a weird job like that, or like a not an everyday job that would be considered like a cool, different type of job.
512-year-old Greenland shark. I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay, so 1,000-year-old sea monster. Very smart.
That's crazy, dude. 512-year-old shark. They've seen some shit. How does that shark survive?
Can you look that up real quick, D? Look up how do we know how old? How can we tell the age of a shark? Or how do scientists tell the age of a shark?
How to calculate the age of a whale?
Okay, that's fine. Whales live long too.
A whale of a whale. By measuring the levels of carbon-14, naturally occurring radioactive element that is a byproduct in the blood.
Oh, so it's a blood test.
Kind of, because it says research determined that distinct bands present inside the shark's cartilaginous vertebrae are formed annually like a tree's growth ring. So
so it's almost like it has some type of determining factor, like how when you count the rings inside of a tree trunk.
Vertebrae, yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
So I wonder if they can only tell after the animal's dead then, because they have to like dissect it to tell.
Maybe.
Them. So the oldest like dead shark they found has been 500 and something years old.
It's just nuts.
That is pretty crazy to think about.
Its death.
I mean, and that's crazy too, because exactly then that means if it is a sea creature that like hasn't died because it's that old yet, then yeah, how would we know?
Dude, I don't know, but there's been mad weird creatures that do brush up on the ocean, especially in Japan and off the coast and shit over there. Like there's some crazy ass fucking big fish and monsters with
I was just gonna say, have you ever seen some of the weird fish that are like in the deep parts of the ocean and stuff too? There is some scary looking things in the ocean. Like fucking terrifying.
It really is something else. And I'm not saying that they come from the Bermuda Triangle, but I'm sure what goes in must come out. Same thing as what goes up must come down.
When you said what goes in must come out, I was thinking about eating and pooping.
It's like hungry. I don't know.
Oh, that's what come in must go out.
All right. So on that note, thank you for the likes, listens, shares, and follows. We appreciate all of your support, and we'd love to hear from you guys. Have a good night.